My name is Chris Cachia. I'm an instructor and learning strategist at Toronto Metropolitan University in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Faculty developers, instructional designers, and those interested in online learning know, and research shows, that online discussions promote participation, interaction, and the fostering of crucial learning relationships. Still, these discussions must be properly framed and purposeful to have real impact and foster higher level discourse. Put another way, without intentional course design, online discussions tend to focus only on the superficial. As such, structured anchors and frameworks for discussion and reflection should be implemented to increase levels of discourse, interaction, and relationship. I offer biographical disruption as one such anchor that by its personal nature fosters critical reflection and community. Biographical disruption is a term first coined by a sociologist of health and illness, Michael Burry, in the early 1980s. He used this term to describe chronic illness as an embodied break with the experience of everyday life. In short, the concept of biographical disruption may be used in a broader sense to consider the knowledge that underpins one's experiences. The following strategies and tips capture how biographical disruption may be implemented as an anchor for shared reflection in the online learning environment, including reflection on both content and the learning process itself. This anchor, coupled with the DEAL framework for critical reflection created by Ash and Clayton, may be utilized as part of an engaging opportunity for student discussion, a powerful framework for critical reflection, and a means to increase a learner's intrinsic motivation. Tip number 1, use clear but open-ended prompts and questions to guide. These prompts may be bolstered by supplying further sub-questions for consideration, as well as explicit connections to key course concepts. For example, in posing the overarching question, how has arriving at university posed a biographical disruption in your life? Related sub-questions might include, what are the rational and emotional ways in which you are processing this disruption? Further, given varying disciplines, connections could here be made to various course concepts, such as in the case of a humanities or social sciences course, how scholars define rationality. Tip number 2, link guiding questions to learning objectives and outcomes. For instance, in a social science course focused on students developing their agency as creative, methodical, and reflective thinkers, problem solvers, and self-directed learners, the following question was offered. How might you mobilize your learning in this course to make a difference in your life and the lives of those around you? The key here is to take a reflective approach to clear learning objectives. Tip number 3, foster peer feedback and interaction on reflections. Remember, it's important to consider who will be reading and commenting on students' work and how power dynamics might play a role in what a student chooses to share. Still, all things considered, a best practice is to foster peer feedback and interaction. Students should be encouraged to comment on one another's work as guided by clear criteria for effective feedback. Tip number 4, be prepared to push students to articulate their learning. Generally, students do well to describe and analyze their experiences, but sometimes need further prompting to articulate what they've learned and why it matters. This difficulty may be emblematic of how this aspect of the learning process is often underdeveloped. Nonetheless, it is essential to capture what was learned in order to deepen that learning and in order to act upon that learning. And the final tip, tip number 5, formulate a detailed but clear means for assessment, including self-assessment. Such assessment does not need to be related to formal grading. The key is to have clear criteria by which learners can critically reflect on their own work and by which others, meaning peers, may comment on each other's writing. Overall, course designers need to consider how structured frameworks for discussion and reflection must be implemented to increase levels of discourse, interaction, and relationship in the online learning space. Biographical disruption, especially given its personal nature, is one concept that can serve as a powerful anchor for critical reflection.